we in here, y'all. We being myself, but the more important guest, Michael Langston. He's the host pretty much of this thing. He's the knowledge, the brains, the know-how. It is the Warchant.com recruiting chat with Michael Langston. Thanks for watching us here on YouTube Live. If you could, hit that thumbs up button, maybe even subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's in the lower right corner. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm fantastic, man. Long weekend in South Florida. That was long. Had a great time. Got to see my brother in West Palm. My 3 nieces. That was always fun. And then we had a Warchant subscriber. I won't give out his name. He knows who he is. So he's kind of a lurker. But took me out on South Beach. Some nice places out there, and had a nice dinner, and took really good care of me. And so he knows who he is. I've already addressed him as far as thanking him, but had a great time. And then the camp in general on Sunday was great. A lot of great talent out there, and certainly I think everyone has seen all the features we've done with the recruiting nuggets and the notebook, and then our feature on Julian Armello, and then I think Ira just posted our feature on Brandon Ennis, 2023 5-star. So a lot of stuff coming out from that event, and fun event. A lot of talent.
There we go. Well, people love the chats, such as Rob Wraithbun. Love the recruiting chats. He says, let's go. But then he ups it one, and he's puts where his mouth is. We haven't even started. Rob. What are you doing? There's rules. This isn't nom.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, Rob. Hey, man. We're here for you. Michael does this every week over on the PRB. Sometimes we do the videos.
Yeah.
But here to the PRB, man. That $50 could have got you a membership practically. Use the promo code WARCHANT30, bottom of your screen, for 30 free days of access to the website. All right, then. So what were some of your big takeaways then from the Rivals camp down in Miami then, Michael?
I think the offensive line group was very good. That was kind of one of the main takeaways I had was Julian Armello was very solid, looked very good, very technically sound, sits back on his blocks very well, doesn't rush, didn't try to just dominate and pancake every guy. I mean, he did a really good job with his hands. He even told me afterwards, like, the difference between Under Armour camp and Miami, the one he did with this one was he utilized his hands a lot more violently, and so he was very impressive. Trent Ramsey, who visited FSU recently, he's another one. He's a 3-star offensive tackle. I think he had a pretty strong performance. And then TJ Shanahan, 2023 offensive tackle target, a 4-star, very high on FSU from what I can tell. So he had a really good time. And then the guy that probably everyone wants to hear about is Dr. Richardson. I think he was the best or the quickest tackle as far as footwork and feet. He just has to learn how to utilize his arm length and utilize his hands a little more. But those were kind of some of the takeaways. And then Brandon Ennis does what he usually does, just put on a show. Him and Santana Fleming were phenomenal. I think a lot of great receivers in that event. And then I also liked Wesley Basante and then also Omar Graham. I think both of those guys were extremely impressive at linebacker position. So as people can tell, there was a lot of talent out there, even some no-shows. But even with the no-shows, I think there was still a lot to take away from that where there's a lot of talent. But, yeah, the offensive line was kind of my takeaway from the whole thing. I really liked what I saw from the offensive line.
All right. Well, good. Florida State needs some of that help.
Yeah.
We definitely need that. Never can go wrong with that. All right. Well, let's kick it off then. Let's get to the phone lines. Rob, thank you, man. We appreciate it very much. Very kind of you. Very generous. It's awesome. Ask a question. Feel free to, and don't throw any more money. Just you can type a question. I'll try to keep my eyes open for it. Let's go to a little town called Virginia Beach. It's in Virginia. A man named Gator lives. Gator Kirk, everybody. What's going on, Gator Kirk? How are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Nice and sunny outside. Not too hot, but pretty good. Going to go pick up Diane some Thai food later. So try and get done with this. But no, we're doing great. Everything's good, Kirk, and certainly just ready to get this thing going as far as these visits, because we have visits coming up in June 1st. I mean, that's the thing we haven't been able to say is it's official. It's going to be June 1st that kids can take visits. Obviously, FSU has their big camp on June 6th, so that's what I'm excited about. But what are you excited about, Kirk? What's on your mind?
I want to switch it up a little bit. The May camps that he's doing for the 8th graders and below, that's a great community outreach where he's going to be going all over. Has FSU ever done like those free camps for the pre-high school kids before Norvell?
Usually they did them all in Tallahassee. I don't think they've ever done one where they're actually going to different cities to do it. I think it's unique. It's something that's it hasn't been done before that I can remember. The FSU staff, like I said, back to Jimbo, I think they would do most of their youth camps. I did think they did them a week before they had the big camps at FSU, but I think so. This is kind of a different one of those little tweaks that Norvell does that makes him unique. There's a lot of different things that he's doing that is kind of unique. I think everyone's seen the camp schedule of what he has in June. Seems like all the camps are going to be in June, whereas usually we've had camps in June and July, which I prefer all in one month. It just kind of makes it easy. Plus, it gives you time to, after you do these June camps, you can evaluate your situation of what guys you're definitely going to go after in July and August and make that push. But I really like the youth camps. I think it's a really good outreach to different areas and certainly keeps your stronghold as far as making impressionable relationships in those cities.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll, while he's there, I'm sure he'll get in contact with high school coaches and things if that's permitted. So, him going to them is a lot better than forcing them to come to you. It's, extend that olive branch, if you will, especially when you get down to southern Miami, get down to Miami and South Beach and all of that, where, I think it's a great PR thing. Hopefully that'll be a continuing trend. Now, for the June camps, are the media going to be invited out to those, or are they pretty much closed?
Everything I've heard is that it's supposed to be open for everybody. So we're supposed to be out there. I will be out there. Maybe I can call Aslan to being out there a little bit, depending on the work. But either way, yes, as far as I know, it's open to the media.
Get normal.
All right, I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you all do. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. As always, make sure you subscribe to Warchant. You all have a great night, and go Noles.
Appreciate it, Kirk. Thanks, man.
Gator Kirk, everybody. Virginia Beach, Virginia known. Mr. 757, Mr. Tidewater, Mr. Commonwealth. Virginia is for Gator Kirk and lovers.
Lesser half of cat.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. That's an acceptable way to refer to him as. Let's keep it here on YouTube. We are live after all. Again, if you could hit that thumbs up button below, we certainly would appreciate it. Almost as much as stuff like this. 7 Toms in the crib. A little bit of that.
Dollar.
A little bit of that.
Y'all.
$20. Just says this should be an interesting one. I might have to catch the recap, but glad you guys do what you do. Well, Tom, thank you, man.
Tom, we love it. And we love doing these things. And certainly I love talking to you guys. I like when you guys call in, or even when you ask a question on their thing. I try to be as detailed and as clear as I can. For those that don't know, if you're subscribed to Warchant, if you go over to the PRB, I've already answered all the questions before this chat even started. I decided to give you guys a little bonus and do it a little early. So I got to all the questions. So there's a lot of questions on there I've already addressed. I'm sure I'm going to address more of them today. But yeah, we love having you guys on, and the more the merrier. Like, call in. Let's get these likes up. Let's get this thing up to 1,000 or something like that, guys. I mean, let's roll. Let's do it. Season's almost here. Show me some excitement. I want to see it.
Well, it's like Dogecoin shooting to the moon. Right? We are like 170 days away, I think, from the season 2. So
let's do it.
And I like the calendar which Michael Langston uses to say that we're almost at football season. So that's terrific. Thank you, 7 Toms. We appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Let's keep it going here, man, on YouTube, because got guys like Khalil Young coming off the top rope. Oh, actually, Cream
bills,
get the money, dollar bills, y'all. I need to find the sweet spot of this audio. It's been too low. I don't want to play it too loud, although we can get a little crazier on this one because it's not a podcast. Khalil, thank you, man. We appreciate it. Question on the screen that I will read to Michael, and then Michael will answer it because that's the way the show works. Where do we stand with all of our top defensive back, defensive tackle, and linebacker targets? Michael knows I'm high on MJ, and I'd hate to see us lose out on him to help Georgia Tech get better or bring back Nebraska potentially. Why? Like, I want to see Nebraska come back. Like, those people deserve to be happy. They haven't been happy in a long time. I think that good. Hopefully, we are still high on his list. Where do you want to start, Mike? Do you want to start with MJ Morris? Or do you want to start with defensive backs, defensive tackles, and linebackers?
Well, I'll tackle the DB. To be put it, Khalil, go to my hot board, man. I've covered in detail every single guy that's in there as far as DB, defensive tackle, and linebacker targets. Obviously, a linebacker, I can kind of do that one easier. Omar Grand, Jerron Willis, Wesley Bonsete, those are guys that they've all set official visits to FSU. So those are the main guys I think I'm locked in on. I think FSU sits in a solid spot with Willis. I've already forecasted him to FSU. And then with Wesley Bonsante, I think FSU's done the best job as far as recruiting them. I'm not ready to forecast them, but I think they're right in there. And then FSU, Miami battle with Omar Graham. So you have that. Now, as far as the defensive tackles and the defensive ends, if you go, like I said, to the hot board, it really goes down the list of all the guys that I've covered. I put comments on every single one of them. It goes into detail about everything. So everything's right in there. Now, as far as the MJ Morris, the thing is, like I said last week before I went to Miami, I talked to MJ, and he visited FSU for the spring games. Seemed to just really love everything, but it just something seemed off that it wasn't like I didn't get the impression that it was like, they're putting everything into that's the guy they have to have. And I will say this about MJ: when I watched him, he throws the ball really well. The ball comes out nicely out of his hands very well, but the problem is that he's got a really slow release. His windup is really long. When you compare that to other guys like Tavian Jackson and AJ Duffy, who I'd like a little bit more. AJ Duffy's the number one guy. So what they're doing is they're gonna make AJ Duffy tell them no before they move on to, say, a Morris or a Jackson. And I hear you about losing them to Georgia Tech, but at the same time, FSU's got to go after the best guy. The best guy in their eyes is AJ Duffy. And AJ's currently at IMG. He's down to FSU, Arizona State, and Michigan State. Supposed to visit Michigan State, I think, this weekend. I think he saw Arizona State, I think, last week, and then he saw FSU the week before. And the one thing I always say about AJ Duffy, I think it's really close battle with them in all three of those teams. More so FSU and Arizona State lately, from what I've heard. But the main thing he said is it feels different when I'm at FSU. It just feels he says just a special feeling when he's at FSU. He gets a tingle and just gets excited, different way when he's at FSU. So I think FSU is very much in there, but they're basically like, we're going to wait until he tells us no. Until AJ Duffy tells them no. And that's not to take away anything from MJ Morris, but I think the main thing is, like, when you know who fits everything you're looking for, you're gonna wait and you're gonna make that guy tell you no before you move on. And I get possibly losing them to Nebraska, possibly losing them to Georgia Tech, but at the end of the day, I think these guys have shown enough with their evaluations that they know what they're looking for, they know what they like. And certainly AJ Duffy is the guy that fits everything they're looking for. I would not cross off MJ Morris. I think I think MJ really likes FSU, but I think he want to see just what he wants to see what FSU is going to do in it as far as pushing for him consistently. But I think also it's not out of the realm of possibility that you see MJ Morris take some official visits, and I think that's kind of where we're trending towards with a lot of these recruits that. At first, a lot of them were going to decide in May, and now it's kind of pushed back to July because a lot of these kids want to get these officials in June, and a lot of them want to take officials. So it wouldn't surprise me if both MJ Morris and AJ Duffy ended up, taking some officials and then deciding maybe in like late June or early July. So,
all right, look at that. That was quite comprehensive. There's even more of that over on the PRB, I assure you, the Premium Recruiting Board, warchant.com. Check it out. Let's hop into the phone lines. Let's go to a little town called the Villages, where a man lives by the name of Wes, a wise man. Wes, what up?
What up, fellas? How we doing this evening? What's going on, Michael?
Pretty good, Wes. I drove by your area twice last weekend, going in and out from over to Miami. But beautiful area for those that haven't been in the Villages. Great area.
Yeah, they got their foot on the gas with development. I mean, if there's land available, they're jumping all over it and and developing like crazy. It's something else. And yeah, I grew up here, and to see it change the way it has, it's unbelievable. So you don't have to. You just hop on your golf cart, and you can go anywhere and do about anything you want.
I don't doubt it.
So I got a question about the defensive end for 2022. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I'm sure you do. I didn't want to butcher it, but Kelly is the last name. He just decommitted.
Yeah, Nigel Kelly.
How do you pronounce it?
Nigelic.
Woo. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, do you think his decommitment has something to do with the dead period opening back up? Or I heard a rumor that his mom apparently wanted him to go to Miami. Do you know if his recruitment was real solid, or kind of, do you know anything on that?
I haven't heard anything about the latter, but I definitely think the open period has certainly impacted, as I suggested earlier, a lot of these guys that, the two offensive linemen that push their commitment back, they want to take officials. I think the thing with Joe that told me, I mean, even last night, he said, look, I want to experience the visits, and I can't really fully be open to experiencing the visits if I'm committed to a school, and you're not really committed if you're in there taking visits, or I guess that's the feeling he got. So I think he really just wanted to go in there and experience all the different places, and I'm sure Miami is very high on his list. Certainly that's a school he's going to look at. Even told me last night that, hey, Florida State's still number one, and so he's seriously considering them. But I think it had to do with just going into the visits with an open mind and looking at these schools in an open way that, hey, can I see myself here? Can I see myself there? And if you're committed, it's kind of hard to have that open mind when you go into. I think he felt like, hey, I need to. You go in there with an open mind process of treating each school the same, and not having a leader, so to speak, in either way. So I think that's kind of how he has approached the recruiting process. Why he wanted to decommit and go ahead and get that out of the way.
Anything else, Wes?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, and the other thing I had for you was, obviously there was a boatload of recruits at the spring game, and I think we all anticipated a few more commitments following that. And so I heard Nico Marchio, obviously he's a lead dog, him and Hunter, with recruiting guys to FSU, that he was quoted as saying that there's some silent commit that could potentially announce soon that would shock the world. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he didn't use the word shock the world. So I don't know if you heard that interview or if you saw that, but I was curious if you have any insight tied to that, or if he's just, excited and just, I don't know. I just was curious if you had anything on that.
No, I think Nico's pretty direct as far as stuff he hears. So I'm sure he's talked to several guys that, and he might be even referring people that weren't at the spring game. I think certainly a guy that would shock the world would be Tony Mitchell, 2023 DB. That's one of the best DBs in the country. Damari Austin's another one. Kevin Coleman's another wide receiver that they're heavily involved with. So I think all those guys could possibly be followed into the shock the world thing. But I think the shock the world notion is kind of overblown sometimes, because I think the view of a recruit is shocking the world is a different way than the way the average fan. But I think it's significant if Nico's mentioning, so I would think it's a highly rated guy or guys to who he's talking about. Yeah, I saw the interview, and he kind of told me the same thing when we talked, that he has some guys that he feels are getting ready to pop and are going to pop, and he feels good about. But didn't really. I'm not going to discuss the guys he told me because he asked me not to. But yeah, there's definitely guys.
I got you. And to piggyback off that, if I asked you to pick a kid that you believe will be the next commitment, whether it's 2022 or beyond, do you have anybody that you're keeping a real close eye on that you think might pop soon?
Well, we know Daughtry is going to do his in July. We know, Quayshawn Sapp's going to be in July. I would say Jalen Glover. I'd still stick with that one, the 4-star running back out of Lake Gibson. I think he's the next one I have kind of targeted and circled. That I think, a lot of people freaked out that he wasn't in the spring game for whatever reason, but I think he's the guy. If I had to pick one, Jalen Glover would be my guy. That's who I would go with.
Yeah, I was high on him as well, but when he didn't come to the game, of course, It just makes you wonder, like, what's the reason, and you never know. So that's who I was feeling too. Yeah,
but then I checked on it. Whatever the reasons were, I've heard he discussed it with FSU well before the game happened. So and they're still pushing really hard for him. So that kind of led me to believe that, hey, everything's cool there. They still want him. He's definitely a take. And then I know how Jalen feels about FSU. So as long as FSU's pushing for Jalen, I think they look in a really good spot as far as where they stand with him. So that will be my pick as far as I guess the next guy, because he's always said he wants to decide in May or before June. So I think that one's coming up if I had to guess.
Fair enough.
You got it. What else is on your mind, Wes?
That was about it. I'll hang up so somebody else can get on there, and you guys have other things to discuss. But I appreciate it, and glad you. Next time you pass through the villages, you'll have to hit me up, and I'll treat you to a beverage or a meal, whatever you like, as you're passing through. That'd be pretty cool to discuss some recruiting and show you the villages. I could even take you on a golf cart trip, VIP style.
I like that, Wes. Hey, Wes, do me a favor. Go in the message. Go to the PRB board. Send me a DM. I'll get your contact information. I'm going to be over there soon, so maybe it can just happen soon or sometime. But just DM me. If you go in there, the message board, and DM me, I'll hit you back up tonight.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll get off here. Aslan, thanks for taking the call, buddy. You holding it down like always, doing a superb job. Michael, great job as always. And y'all definitely don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to warchant.com. These guys are the best in the business. Everybody else, they're just vying for second place.
Correct.
No doubt.
Correct.
Have a good evening.
Correct.
Have a good evening, fellas.
Correct. Trying to find a Houston Nut image that says people helping people. So we try to do here on the program. That's Wes, everybody, in the villages. Appreciate it, man. As Ray says, the king is here. It's Michael Langston, everybody. Get your calls in 850-805-5911, or you can post a comment and we'll get to it. If it's a good question, some people get upset because they feel that if they don't pay money, we don't put their comment or their question on the screen, which is like, okay, I mean, if somebody pays, I'm going to have to put their name on the screen. But if you have a good question, I'll pop it up there. But if it's like, hey, for the 10,000th time, what's going on with the offensive line? Probably not going to put it up there. Nonetheless, we persevere. Eric Angel's here, everybody. Cincinnati, Ohio's own. Thank you, Eric. 25 bones in the pot. Aslan, Michael, it was nice meeting you and your brother at 51 on Madison.
Wow.
Game aftermath. Yeah, Eric was there. He was there. He was a real human being. He exists. I heard someone decommitted. Any word on AJ Duffy or anyone else coming to FSU? Eric, very broad. Whatever you want to pick. Kelly is a decommitment.
Yeah.
A little bit about AJ Duffy. We can pull his highlights up again. And anyone else coming? Jalen Glover. So sometimes things don't come over in order. I think he posted this like 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
So obviously, we talked about some of this stuff, but if you want to put a bow on it for him, Michael, since he gave us $25, we'll go for it.
Well, first of all, Eric, I appreciate it. It was great meeting everyone there. Great meeting you and certainly everyone. Yeah, my brother was in town. He had a blast, by the way, for people that cared, but that was fun. As far as decommitment, it was Nigel Kelly last night, defensive end. That happened last night. FSU still recruiting him, so that's still an active recruitment. Obviously, if he visits in June, then it'll be a big deal. But if he doesn't, then that kind of would tell you kind of where it's going, and probably not in a positive way. As far as Duffy, I mentioned the star of the show. I think FSU is in a close battle with Arizona State and Michigan State. I think FSU has definitely got a shot to pull this one off. I get the impression that AJ would like to decide after this Michigan State visit, but I've also told AJ's kind of hinted to me that if he doesn't know for sure by then, he's just probably going to take official visits to all three, and then he'll be ready to go. So I lean more towards that he could take official visits. That's kind of where I lean, just my guess. He hasn't told me that, but it's just a gut feeling I have that I think he's going to take some official visits, but that's just my interpretation or my gut feeling. But that's kind of where things stand on that question of AJ Duffy. And as far as all the other guys, go check out our hot board, Eric. I mean, it's on there. It covers every single position. It's pinned at the top of the board.
Look at this throw real quick, everybody. Look at this throw. Just look at him leading. Just all right, carry on. Sorry, Michael.
And then I haven't even talked about this, but I'm going to do a 12 to watch prospects.
12, not 10. You're doing 12 to watch?
Yeah, 12 to watch. And I'm going to add even additional targets to that. And I'm going to go into detail about even the additional targets. I'm going to go in detail about FSU, where they stand. So I'm going to do these I'm going to try to do one of these every month or every 2 months because it's going to change. Some guys are going to move up from the additional targets to the featured guys. So I'm kind of just trying to do more consistently with this thing so people can kind of get a feel of who FSU wants and also what kids they have the best shot with, because that's what it's going to be based on. Mutual interest from FSU and the recruit and just the vibes I'm hearing around that recruit. So if they're in the featured group, that means there's a lot of mutual interest. So just for you guys to get prepared for as far as having that. Probably, I would guess, goes up next week, but I'm going to put the finishing touches on it this week and this weekend. So that's something I got coming up. So that will tell you everything, Eric, in there. I think you'll have a lot of guys in there that'll kind of answer your questions.
Boom. Boom. Shakalaka. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate it. See here. FSU Rose thinks that MJ won't leave the state. So that's something. Alexander Dussault, is Brandon Cleveland a take?
That I don't know. I know they're active with him. I know they're recruiting him. I would side just right now, just because he hasn't visited. I would go with no, since he hasn't visited. If he visits, then I can get a little more intel as far as that goes, Alexandra. As far as getting in there and really just looking into it. I think NC State's a school he likes a lot. If I'm not mistaken, they have former Kevin Patrick there, the defensive line coach. I think he's there, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he's a guy that they're talking with, but I haven't heard for sure that he's a definite take. I think they're waiting to see, because that's the thing with this staff. They want to see mutually that you're interested in them. So it's they're going to recruit you hard. They're going to recruit the hell out of you, but they got to see that you're interested in them. So I think FSU wants to see him get on campus and then kind of just go from there. They can kind of take the relationship from there. I think FSU is really big on, if we're going all in for you, we want to see that you're all in with us. And I think that's kind of their vibe on targets and takes and stuff like that.
Ray Pereira asked Michael, does the transfer portal change the way recruits think? So maybe they commit to a school knowing that if they don't like it, they can just transfer. It's like a mulligan.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And to be honest, high school kids get screwed by this portal. because if somebody needs a position that's really important, like FSU needed a receiver, and they went out there and got Andrew Parchment. They might have taken a different high school receiver, and he got passed over because, they got put on hold because they want this guy that can immediately help them. Parchment has damn near 1,000 yards in a season 1 year at Kansas, and I think 8 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns. So you're getting a proven guy. So it's kind of screwed up things with high school kids. And yeah, you basically do have a mulligan because there's no guidelines or standards to it. It's basically you get one time you can transfer. And you don't need a reason. It doesn't matter what conference you're in. There's no guidelines, so you can you get a mulligan. If you don't like it, you go somewhere else. and that's kind of what we've seen. The transfer portal has been heavy this year. Certainly been good to FSU. Certainly been good to other schools, and I think it's only going to get more consistently crazy as we go along, because and the ones that are going to suffer are going to be the high school seniors that are going to be suffering, because let's face it, these coaches have a job to win. And in order to win, you need guys that can prove and can help you. And so you're going to take guys that are grad transfers or transfers in general that are proven over guys that are high school kids.
Michael Langston, why don't we use some 2022 scholarships then on transfer portal players?
Don't dare them, FSU, Rosé. Don't dare them. They'll do it. I'm sure it wouldn't surprise me if that's coming for next year. I'm sure that, they've already stated, just you look at the way they took the transfer portal. I think they had 9 in the first year, and then they had I think they got 8 this year, Aslan. So yeah, around there. So I think you're probably going to see that, where you're going to see scholarships taken away, because basically you only get 25. That's kind of the rule, where you get 25 combined transfer and scholarship guys. So yeah, there's going to be some high school kids that get passed over because FSU or some other school wants proven guys. That's what it's about. And as long as that rule's there, you got to adapt and adjust to it. And Norvell and the staff have adjusted to it. They certainly have gotten a really good one in Jermaine Johnson. There's other guys that are really good that they've added. Jay Sean Corbin came from the transfer portal. So you got some really good additions. So I just think it's going to get worse and worse, where majority of your focus eventually is going to be on what transfer guys you get.
Jordan Travis transferred here too, everybody.
There you go. Jordan Travis.
Let's go, though. Ray's here. Ray's dropping bags. Let's go, Ray.
Oh, he likes your shirt.
What? Let's go, Ray.
He loves your shirt, Aslan. I like it too. Where'd you get that, Aslan?
J. Crew. Everything I buy is from J. Crew. I'm the most preppy guy you'll ever meet. Like my whole closet is J. Crew.
Sure.
Michael, what do you think of this chatter about silent commits?
Yeah, the thing with silent commits, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but it's kind of, this has been happening since the 90s and stuff like that. Now, it was more impactful in the 90s, because usually when a kid would tell you, it's like, okay, that kid's he's got a date set, he's just going to announce it then. Now these kids, they can silently commit, and then next weekend, they could go to FSU one weekend, and then they go to Georgia the next weekend, and then they might tell the other coaches the same thing. So you have to take it. It depends on the recruit and what recruit you hear it about. So yes, I definitely think there's silence out there, Ray. There's definitely silent commits that told FSU, probably called them up and said, "Hey, I think this is the place for me, but when I'm ready to announce publicly, I think that's where I want to go, Coach." And I think those conversations have happened. I'm not going to discuss who, but there's been several. So there's several out there.
What position? Can you give us a position, Michael?
I can't give you a position. I give them a position, the PRB would light up, and they'd be asking me direct questions like, okay, give us what year now? It's like you get one step.
What high school?
Yeah, what high school? Where was their parents born? So, and plus, a lot of these kids tell me stuff in confidence, so I don't want to ruin their confidence they have in me. But I'll just say they are out there. There's several. I'm not going to say how many, but there's several. So yes, Ray, it is out there.
So they feel good about it, or they don't feel good about it, so that's why they're silent. It's like they don't want to deal with the interviews and the pressure. That's why they say they're silent, or is it they want to kind of have a seat, but they want to see what Kirby and Nick got?
I think it really just depends on the recruit. Some recruits are just locked in. They love FSU so much, and it's like, hey, I know that's where I'm going, but I don't want to tell everyone that I'm going here. And then other schools, when I go to visit them, they're just going to be like, the hell with you. I'm not going to let you visit because we know you're going to FSU because you already pretty much indicated you're going there. So I think that's why most cases that's where the silent comes in, where they know where they want to go, but you don't want to tip it off because then other schools won't let you visit. And that's why I've been really impressed about how FSU handles kids that play games where they think they're just playing games and running around circles with them. I think we saw that a little bit with Quincy McAdoo. I think FSU closed the case there and said, look, we're not dealing with this. You either want to be here or you don't. I told you that a few weeks ago when FSU had their spring game. This kid he rather go to a 7-on-7 than go to the spring game. You have never been to FSU. You're committed to FSU. So what does that say about your commitment? It says that it's pretty solid. So it says that FSU, you're not a priority to me. And so that's kind of the way they view it. So when there's games and stuff like that being played, FSU kind of moves on. And I think the same can be said just on silence. You don't want kids to publicly say it unless you're all in. And we've already seen, even with the decommitments, even when you're doing all these things, you're still going to have decommitments. Decommits are going to happen. I understand FSU fans are upset. It's like Doomsday Tuesday yesterday and Doomsday time since the spring game because they've had more decommits than they had commits. But that's all part of what the recruiting process is going to be. You're going to go through ups and downs. You're going to go through roller coasters. But the bottom line is if FSU goes out there and shows an improved product on the field, and they keep doing the innovative things that they're doing with camps and things and relationships, they're going to get a lot of top-notch kids, and they're going to get a really good class. They're going to get a top 15 class if they do all those things and they're productive on the field and they're improve. The recruiting is going to take care of itself. So the people that are freaking out, and we got a lot of people in the PRB that are.
Oh gosh, we had someone on the podcast. We had somebody saying one of the HE double hockey sticks is going on with recruiting.
It's like, guys, calm down. It's April. Decommits happen. They just announced that they're opening recruiting for kids to visit. So these things are going to happen where kids are going to take visits. You're going to have ups and downs.
But it is kind of crazy, though, Mother. What has happened in the last 10 days that would make you, if you liked Florida State, what could have happened in the last 10 days where you're like, on second thought, I don't think so. That's just, it is a weird thing. I get it. But I'm not panicking, but I can put myself in the shoes of the Florida.
No, I get that. But I think the thing that's happened is the NCAA ruled that June 1st you can visit somewhere. That's what's happened. They officially announced it, and it's not a secret. Since that announcement, pushback commitments happen, decommits have happened. Now, I don't think the Quincy McAdoo thing had anything to do with the June 1st thing. That was the only recruitment I don't think had anything to do with it. I think he was just a homebody, and he wanted to stay at Arkansas, and he was kind of running FSU around the circle saying, oh, yeah, Coach, I'm still interested. And it's like, but the people around Quincy weren't saying the same things. So the people were like, no, he's staying home. He wants to go to Arkansas. And so I think FSU kind of read between the lines and moved on. But the other ones are just really just that June 1st date where things have opened up and kids are like, you know what? Maybe I need to be more open and maybe open this thing back up and then kind of address where my recruitment's at, because people forget these kids have not visited anywhere in 2 years. So, they kind of want to see somewhere.
Michael, could you rank, or how would you rank or order the following? DeMario Tolan, Jaron Willis, Wesley Basante. There you go. Thank you. How would you rank those guys?
Well, I wouldn't have DeMario in there. I have Omar Graham in there, first of all, Dan. I would have, my personal opinion, Jaron Willis, Wesley Bonacete, and Omar Graham. I would have it kind of in that order. And it's almost 1A, 1B, and 1C. They would love every one of those kids. It's very tight. All three of those guys are guys that they hit up daily. I mean, like nonstop. DeMario Tolan is a guy more just – I've heard some interest, but nothing – where I've heard it's like really, really serious at FSU. He wants to visit FSU, but hear more about Miami when I do with him than FSU. So I wouldn't really throw him into that list. I would say the three I covered are the main guys.
Oh, let's go back to one of our subscribers, the XDQ. It's Derek Adams. He's a Q dog. He gets a little bit of this. A little bit of this.
Dollar bills, y'all.
What up, Derek? All right, Michael, can you give us one sleeper from the 2022 class that guys like you know about, but isn't a household name quite yet? Maybe someone like Nigel Kelly, who you told us was going to blow up, but wasn't known at the time.
Well, I really like the EJ Lightsey kid out of Georgia. He's a kid that I really studied his film a lot. He's really high on FSU. He's another one I would put just behind those three that I covered as far as linebackers. He's a guy I love. I think this guy can play all three linebacker positions.
How do I spell his last name so I can pull up?
Lightsey, Lightsey.
All right. I thought you said Likesy, like I like it a lot. All right.
No.
All good.
Yeah. So he's the one I like a lot. I loved his film when I watched him. And then the other one, my number one guy would be Bishop Thomas. I think Bishop Thomas is the best defensive tackle that they're recruiting. And he's not even, to my knowledge, not even ranked yet. So he's a new name. He's from New Orleans, transferred over to Bishop Moore. Ironically, his name's Bishop Thomas. So I think he's a guy that is really undervalued, but I think he's got 4-star talent for sure. He's a guy I love. I think he's big time. I think he's blowing up already, but I think he's a guy that everyone's going to want a piece of.
Okay. We'll take it. 2 names. How about that, Derek?
There you go.
1. You asked for 1, he gave you 2. 2. That's how we roll here on the warchant.com recruiting chat with Michael Langston. There's somebody want to talk about. You want to talk about the offensive line at all, Michael, or you want to punt?
Sure. I'll talk about whatever.
All right. Well, then let's talk about the offensive line. Let me find the comment from Don. Don on the Facebook. How's the O-line looking? This is where it all starts. We have great skill players. I don't know about that, but without any offensive line, we aren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, great. I mean, come on, great. Like Rashad Green's great. You know, I don't know if we got any Rashad Greens out there. I'm just saying, you know.
Malik McLean's really good.
Yeah, he could be.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But I agree with Aslan. Yeah, the skill guys are kind of, Keyshawn looking really good as far as what I saw in the scrimmage. But Malik was definitely jumping out to you. But after that, it's kind of gets a little iffy. But offensive line, I mean, if you're talking about recruiting, Don, I would say I think it's setting up pretty well. I mean, I think they're going to get Daughtry Richardson. I think they're going to get Quayshawn Sapp. I think Kananya Charlton is another one I think they're going to get. Elijah Pritchett is a guy they're really high on. Same with Julian Armello. I think with Julian, LSU and Alabama, they seem to be the 2 teams that FSU is probably chasing. I say chasing because I think those 2 teams, he seems to be enamored to check them out a little bit, but I think FSU is really high up there for him. But there's a lot of guys, but I think it's setting up pretty good so far for FSU. I just think they have to get these kids on campus, guys like Julian Armella, who tells me he's going to visit June 1st or he's planning to. And then you have a guy like Elijah Pritchett who's going to be at that June 6th event. He's a guy FSU is very high on, probably one of their highest. And then they've already set up official visit with Jalen Early, who's another high 4-star. So I think they're positioning themselves pretty well as far as that offensive line. Really good at guard. I feel really good at that position. And then if you can get a high-level guy to go along with a guy like, Daughtry Richardson, who I think is eventually going to be a 4-star, I think they position themselves pretty well for this offensive line class.
Man, imagine if they get Julian. Can you imagine if they get a 5-star, like top 10 overall?
No, because it hasn't happened for so long. So I'm just kind of like, I'm waiting for something to happen. Like if you're up like 9 runs in the 9th inning, Aslan, right. You're just waiting for somebody to hit like 3 grand slams or something. That's what I'm kind of waiting when it comes to a 5-star offensive lineman. I think they definitely have the right guy in Atkins. He's the perfect coach. He's a rock star. I love everything about that guy. Norvell is doing a great job as far as the CEO, managing, building the culture, all that stuff. But until it happens, you're just not going to believe it when it comes to a 5-star offensive lineman. And, of course, at FSU's luck, they get him as a 5-star, and then they'll probably drop him to a 4-star after that. So.
No way. Look at that, man. 6.1 rating, 6th overall in the nation, number 1 tackle in the entire country, number 1 player in the entire state of Florida. Like,
yeah, I will say this about Julian. I watched Julian. Do I think he's a 5-star? Yeah, he's iffy.
What?
Yeah.
What? You set people up for if he doesn't commit to us, he really wasn't that good. Don't do it, Michael. I will leave this show.
I'm not saying he's not a 5-star. I'm saying based on what I saw in the camp, he looked like definitely a Rivals 100 kid for sure. But 5-star, I kind of want to see what he does in the games. before I just.
He was the MVP, wasn't he? The MVP.
Yeah, he was. He was.
What are we doing? What are we doing, Michael? Come on, man.
I'm just being real.
Show. He's listening. Julie, we love you. We all love you.
I'm just trying to keep it real and 100, as the young kids like to say.
Right.
But I want to see what he does during the season. By the way, it looks like he's going back to St. Thomas Aquinas, which is a really good thing because I think that'll really push him as far as competition. But I just want to see Julie in the game. It's like what I saw in the camp, phenomenal. I loved everything I saw, but I like to base it on what I see in the camp and then what I see in the game. But when it comes to offensive line recruiting and 5 stars, I'm just always preparing myself for something to go off.
I will say the big homie Dante Lucas looked like an absolute mutant out there in the camp scene, and he hasn't performed anywhere near as dominant in actual games. But Julian,
Aslan loves you. Aslan loves you.
Come home, man. Your father went here, man. His blood, sweat, and tears are in that stadium. You're gonna walk away from it? Come on.
By the way, I met Enzo this weekend too. He was at the camp. Really good, really nice dude. Great Seminole. Certainly loves his Seminoles. So it was just fun listening to him because every time Julian made a big play or a big block, which was consistent, you could hear somebody like, "That a boy Jules." You could hear it like everywhere. So it was nice.
All right, let's go back to Khalil Young because Khalil's got doll hairs and he's got good questions. Thank you, Khalil. Respect. Same question I asked the boys yesterday. Oh, your little team. You ready for some team stuff, Michael? You want to put the team hat on?
Yeah, why not?
2 tough games on the schedule that you would be the least bit surprised if Florida State were to win. So I guess like your 2 upset alerts. He thinks Notre Dame and North Carolina. And what one game do you think will be the hardest? Best performance. So I don't.
Well, that's a challenging one. I think the least surprise for me would be the Notre Dame game, and that might freak some people out. But for me, Notre Dame lost a ton off that team, and I've heard they're not expected to be really strong this year. They're not expected to have some incredible team like what they've had in the past. So
they might not be playoff caliber, but they're something like top 15.
It's going to be a lesser version of what you've seen before, and they're going to be very inexperienced coming to FSU game for the first game of the year. It's in Tally. And, so that one would least surprise me the most out of those 2. UNC, obviously they're going to have a lot of anger to what FSU did to them a year before. So, that one would surprise me a little more if they pulled that out. Plus, it's on the road. And I think hardest best performance is going to be definitely the hardest will be, when you have to, because you're traveling to Gainesville, you have to beat Florida at Florida, which I think is ridiculous, Aslan, by the way, that they have to play at Florida. When Florida canceled last year, anyway. Yeah, let's keep that real. Florida canceled. It wasn't Florida State canceling. FSU wanted to play the game. So Florida canceled. So basically FSU has to go back over to Florida and play them for the second year in a row since they didn't play them last year. But I think that'll be the hardest performance because the Swamp is always a really tough place to play and tough game, although it's not going to be quite, quote unquote, the same Florida that you certainly saw last year. And then I think the game too, the Miami FSU game is always the big one. That's the one I got circled, Aslan. You win that game, your season is met because that you need something to signify your season. And I think that Miami game could really signify FSU's season if you win that game. You win that game, that's a benchmark game where kids can see that and say, okay, this FSU program is going to another level now. They're taking the next step. So for me, is that Miami game that you need to win.
All right. Let's hope so. All right. David Spengler, well suited. Who are top alternative targets at defensive end if Nigel Kelly is ultimately off the board?
Well, certainly the number one target is Marvin Jones Jr., who I like where FSU sits there. I think FSU's certainly right there. I think there's a lot of other guys. If you go to the hot board, which is on the front, pinned on the PRB, Dante Anderson is in there as well. I think there's let me go through. I'll go through it right now with you, David, just to cover stuff for you. Man, I'll do it. I don't mind.
Look at that, taking stuff from the PRB. You're playing Robin Hood right now. You Robin Hood, give it the
I'm gonna go right to it. I'm just like the heck with it. I'm gonna pull this stuff up. I'm not gonna tell you the same spew every time. So I'm gonna give you some detailed guys. Since you're asking me about defensive ends.
Do you want me to just pull a thread up right now, Michael?
No, I'm pulling it up. I got it right now. I'm rolling. Just give me a second, guys. I'm pulling it up right now. Give me direct, live interpretation of guys. I think I think Dante Anderson's one. Aaron Wilson's another one. I would watch out for Anthony Lucas with FSU. That's a West Coast kid that's very tight with Nico. Maybe that's a guy that Nico's referring to as shocking the world. He's going to visit FSU very soon, I would say, probably in late June. So I think he's a guy, to certainly watch. FSU already has Aaron West. So that's certainly one that Aaron Hester, that they already have. So I think those are some of the main ones. Going through a lot of these other ones are just guys to keep in mind. So those are kind of the ones I have, picked out, David, as far as, ones that jump out to me. Like, keep in mind, they already have Aaron Hester committed. If you get Marvin Jones, that's 2. And then that basically leaves you, basically you're going to take like 3 or 4. So they might stop at 3. So you might only add 1 more if you add Jones. So that's something you kind of consider.
How's his stock, Aaron Hester?
Well, his stock is the people want to see him play. So right now he's a 3-star. But if you look at his body, he has got the perfect body for a defensive end. I love his film the way he gets after the quarterback. That's the thing that he does the best. Like, he really can get after the quarterback. He's really good at gaining the edge and certainly getting pressure in the backfield, which is FSU is severely lacking the last few years. Certainly with Jermaine Johnson, I think that's probably going to change, assuming they can keep him healthy. But I think Aaron brings a lot to that pass rushing skills. But as far as the stock rating, I don't think that's going to happen until really he starts his season, Dan. And then once the season starts, I think you'll see his stock start going way up. I think he's another guy that has those 4-star skills that you look for, the way he gets off blocks, the way he uses his hands, and then his speed is so really good as far as the way he chases down plays, and certainly very physical. So I think he's a guy, once the season starts, that's when you see your stock rating will rise.
Right on. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's take our final caller of this fine evening. It's from the 407. Let's stay in the central part of this grand state of ours. Caller, what's going on? Who's this? Where are you calling us from?
Hey, this is Greg from Apopka, Florida.
Greg, all right. Greg from Apopka, man. What's up, Greg? How are you?
Roddy, how y'all doing?
Good, man.
Fantastic, man.
I started a little late, so if I ask a question, I apologize.
Very fine.
That might already been answered, but I had a question. In this coming up class, a true inside linebacker and a true free safety. If we can get one of them 2 in the class.
Can you get a true inside linebacker, and can you get a true safety?
Free safety.
Yes,
free
sir.
safety.
I'm just saying, as in where, I know some people project as an outside linebacker that might move inside, but a true inside linebacker.
Yes, I think they can, Greg. Wesley Badasante is perfect for that. He can play outside, he can play middle, but I think he's the most effective when you watch him inside. The way he reads blocks, the way he gets off blocks. I think he's the guy that kind of fits what you're talking about. I think he fits that characteristic. And then the guy I mentioned earlier, EJ Lightsey, is another guy that he's from Georgia. He's only a 3-star, but he's the guy that I think is going to blow up even higher. He is definitely for sure a Mike linebacker. And then another one in the Jacksonville area, Devin Smith, who I saw at the Miami camp. He's another one that's a pure inside linebacker. And then you also, when you're focusing on the safety position, the guys I like the most is Antonio Kite and also Nick Cole. Both of them are out of Georgia. Both of them are high on FSU. I think if FSU pushes for Cole, they're going to get him. And then I think with and then Antonio Kite's scheduled to officially visit FSU in June. Really high on Woodson. We've seen what Woodson does when he gets his hooks on somebody as far as relationships. So I definitely think it's very possible, Greg, that they could pull both of those positions that you're wanting.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I said inside linebacker, but the Mike linebacker position. So
Yeah.
I apologize for that. But yeah, I honestly think come beginning of June, commitment's going to crank up.
It will definitely heat up. It will be crazy because here's the thing, Greg, we haven't had this in 2 years. So, there's going to be a lot of makeup time for this, and there's going to be a dramatic amount of visitors throughout the country that are visiting places, and especially FSU, where they get a first chance to really be inside that facility for the first time in over a year. So I think it's going to be a big deal, and I agree with you. It's going to heat up. It's going to be active, and here's the thing I'll tell Greg and I'll tell everyone in the country. I'll look right in the camera and I'll say it, guys. It's going to be a long process of a year for recruiting. So just settle in, enjoy the ride, and just let these guys do their jobs.
Yeah, I remember. I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up too much of your time, but I remember what you said. If somebody commits early and they decommit, you know what? They're committing early. Don't hold. It could be fun, kind of ordeal. You know what I mean?
And it's a long process. I mean, when a kid sometimes we've seen it. Malik McLean decommitted, then came back to FSU a few days later. They come back, but sometimes they don't, and that's okay. There's always other prospects out there. There's always other great players out there. But you get the guys that fit what you want. And if you get every guy that fits what you want as a staff, and obviously they're one of your top guys that you wanted, you're going to be a very happy coach at the end of the day. And that's what really is the main point.
Yes, sir. That makes total sense. Well, I'll go ahead and let y'all go, and I greatly appreciate y'all's time, and God bless y'all, man. Y'all continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Greg.
It's Greg and a Popka, everybody. Last caller of the evening. Thank you for the call, Greg. Do appreciate it. We got some other people, though, here on YouTube we'll get to after we shut it down, just like that. Just takes a button or two to hit on it. A lot of people arguing with Miami fans on the board. It's pretty cool stuff here. Dan Squatch, I don't know what did Julian do to everybody? Is Julian Armello really a take at all the big boys who are in for him?
Yes, he's a take.
I mean,
he's definitely a take. There's not a doubt, Dan, if he's a take or not. They love him. Their concern is getting him on campus, and that's been my whole concern the whole time. Is Julian says he's coming June 1st, right before the LSU one, and if he does that, then he'll be backing up everything he's saying. And I definitely think he's high on FSU. But until he gets on campus, that's just what we're going to have to deal with. As far as my thing is more, how interested are you, Julian, compared to those other big boys as far as FSU? That's why I want to see if he visits or when he visits, and really just what he says about the visit as far as FSU. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. But definitely, Dan, he is without a question a take.
You heard it. He's a guy. He's number 6 overall prospect. Everybody, come on, man. What are we doing here? Q Lifer, as far as fit and skill, how do you feel about Nico versus MJ versus AJ?
That's a good one. I like that, Tool. That's a good question. Nico has the quickest release out of all of them. Like, out of all those guys, I would say Nico has the quickest release, and he reads the field, I would say, on par with AJ. Like, AJ's right there. The feel in the pocket is what AJ's the best with when there's pressure, when secondary checkdowns. That's what AJ does. And AJ has the best ball location out of any of the guys. I mean, he is phenomenal with his ball location. I think Nico and AJ do some similar things as far as how they run the read option. They both can run if you need to, although I trust Nico more as far as the running part of things than AJ. But and then with MJ, he's the athletic guy of the group. He's got the biggest arm out of all three of them. I think MJ's got the strongest arm. but the technique and the mechanics is the area that I want to see, fine-tuned with MJ, because that's been the bugaboo and the question that everyone hypes, that everyone talks about with MJ is that release. It's the long release. It's not fast. And I saw some of that where it hurt him in the one-on-ones when I watched him in Atlanta, where if he just sped up that release, he's got a perfect pass. He's in there. He's got the pass in there, and he can it could have been a touchdown or it could have been a completion. So if he speeds up that release, it could dramatically help him. But I think that's an area that really concerns me with MJ. Just really slow, just real slow compared to the other two. And I would say the thing I like, I wasn't sold on Nico at first. I just wasn't when I first saw because I followed his season a lot. But then I followed a lot of his workouts and the stuff I saw in his workout. And it's like, this guy really picks up things so fast. Like the way he can make a mistake the first time, but then the next time he comes back, and he's so quick at reading a coverage and reading a mistake that he did the previous time that really jumps out to me as the knowledge that Nico has at the quarterback position. It's just really good. So I've changed kind of my tune, just how I feel about Nico once I started studying some of his workouts and some of his things that he's done where it's just 1-on-1, 7-on-7 stuff. You see a different guy. And I would also say he's from Colorado, so he had to come over there to Hamilton, which is a very predominant team in the state of Arizona. It's a really good team. And so he had to adjust to a new offense in 1 year. So maybe it took a little time for him to get accommodated. And I think he's going to put up big numbers this year based on if what I saw in the workouts, it translates to the football field, on the field. I think Nico is going to be a guy that FSU fans like a lot.
Well said. Well said, y'all. All right, man. It's been the Michael Langston Recruiting Chat, warchant.com, here live on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for coming on out. If you could hit the thumbs up on your way out, we would appreciate it very much. A shout-out to our generous fans, Khalil Young, Derek, Ray, Eric, and old Rob Wraithman, just coming in hot right from the top rope. 7 times, too. Can't forget about old 7 times.
Yep.
So, we appreciate you folks being kind enough to throw some doll hairs our way. And what's going on over on the PRB, Michael? You got 12 to watch? 12.
Yep, 12 to watch, and it's going to be additional guys plus that 12. So there's probably going to be more like 24 guys that I actually cover. So there's going to be several guys in there. The 12 to watch is going to focus more on mutual interests that I feel that, okay, these are the guys I feel FSU has the best shot with, that they can actually pull these guys. So that's going to be the 12 that you see in there featured. Now, the additional targets, they're also major targets, but there's just a rung lower in these guys. Not so much that that FSU doesn't want them. They're major targets. It's like the mutual interest isn't where makes me feel comfortable to put them in the feature rate. So I think the main thing, that's what the 12 to watch is going to be about. I'm going to finish that up tonight, guys. Maybe Ira will love you guys and get it up Friday. If I do finish it up tonight, we'll see. If not, it'll be up probably Monday. But that's something I got coming up. And then certainly we got some camps coming up. And high schools are going to open up too with spring ball. So I might travel a few places. No spring tour, but just maybe stop for a few places. Just don't have the time to do that this year. But maybe me and Aslan can plan that next year once we get back in the full swing. But that's kind of what we have, some things going up. And then prospect updates, I'm going to continue to get up with these guys. And then hopefully, this is for Garnet, because I know you're watching. You post on the board. He asked me about offensive line transfers and JUCO guys every week. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, I'll have some news for you, Garnet.
Oh, hey, one last thing before we go. Can I hijack this for the podcast?
Yeah.
30 seconds, Michael. It doesn't have to be long. Ronye and Gwinnett was asking, was there more talent at the spring game or at Saturday Night Lights the first time Willie did it? And I said probably Saturday Night Lights because I thought there were just more people there, period.
Yeah. I'd probably agree with that. I mean, it's I think if the guys would have shown up, like there was some no-shows for the spring game. If the guys that showed up were on my list, majority of them, like say 90% showed up, I would go with that one. I would go with the FSU spring game. But they didn't. There was some no-shows that didn't happen. And then with the the Willie thing had, just had more. It was just more guys there, and it's a bigger type of event too.
Was George Pickens at Saturday Night Live?
Yes, he was, because I remember interviewing him.
George
Pickens was there.
That offensive lineman from Louisiana was there.
Thibodeau was
Alan
there.
Davis was there.
Remember Thibodeau? We had to interview him in the middle of the night.
Okay, Alex Thibodeau was there. Corey was asking about that. Yeah. And again, I'm not. This is not comparing Willie to Norvell because the spring game was raining. It was put together like in 2 weeks' time. There's a pandemic going on. You're not even allowed to talk to the coaches.
MC Hammer was there. MC Hammer was there.
Game over. Game over. Head to Warchant.com's premium recruiting board for all your recruiting needs. Michael's there all the time answering all your questions. Michael, thanks for the time, man.
You got it, man. Take care.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great one.